We love fresh basil in our house. We are in West Michigan. It is September 4th, and here's a couple things I like to do with my fresh basil because I like to have the taste of that all winter long. I just cut a bunch of basil tops and wash them, and the first thing I do is I separate out some nice young stems. I've got 8 or 9 in there, and I put them in some water, and those are going to go in a south window. They will root rapidly with white roots, and I will have fresh basil from my windowsill until usually January. Water has to be changed every few days. The next step is to take all the leaves off the stems, kind of scrunch them together with one hand, and with a good sharp flat knife, kind of chiffonade, go down the row and just chiffonade them as thin as you can. Then these are going to get stuffed into a quart freezer Ziploc bag. Okay, here's my quart bag, and I've labeled it because I already did one in August. And you can see it's not packed too tightly. You want it to be kind of flat when it goes into the freezer. I'm going to be adding probably 1/3 to 1/2 a cup of olive oil to this bag. Well, it was actually more like a cup's worth, and I like to use a light olive oil for that. And then you just kind of squish it around really good, make sure all the basil is coated with the oil and the air is out of the bag, and you're going to press it and seal it so it's flat, and then find a place on your freezer rack to set that. Okay, here's that basil the next day. It is frozen solid, and what you can do in the wintertime or when you want some basil is just open that bag and just break off a corner, break off a chunk, and toss it in your cooked pasta. I usually use 3 bags or 4 bags a winter like this, and it's a really delicious, as fresh as you can get flavor. And I have my favorite recipe I'm going to show you on how I like to use that. Okay, and now for my very quick pasta dish with the basil and the tomato. It takes longer to boil the pasta than it does to make this dish. I've started with 3 cups of dry medium shell pasta, cooked about 10 minutes in boiling water till it's a little softer than al dente but not soft, and drained it. I've got 3 pats of butter in there and 3 tablespoons of light olive oil. To that, I'm going to add some chopped fresh basil, about that much. I normally would use the frozen if I make this in the wintertime or in the fall, but I got fresh today, and about that much of chopped tomato. The better the tomato, the better it flavored the dish. I've got some nice, delicious garden ripe tomatoes, but use the best ones that you can. It'll really make this dish. Not to mention that the heat is off on the burner as I add everything. The butter, the oil, the basil, and a 1/2 cup of the best Parmesan cheese you can find. I like to use the powder. It melts more rapidly. I'm using Parmesan Romano, and again, it's a 1/2 cup. It really makes a dish. And then you can turn your heat on low and stir it for about a minute before we add the tomatoes. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention that after the cheese and the basil in the butter and the olive oil are added, I also add a cup's worth of heavy cream. Use heavy cream if you can find it. 1/2 and 1/2 is better. It's going to result in just a much creamier taste and a thicker sauce. And then you're going to you just stir that together for about a minute or 2 minutes, and then throw your tomatoes in and keep stirring. After you add the tomatoes, really you only need to stir it for about another minute, maybe 2 at the most. You don't want the tomatoes to really cook. And you can see how nice it's thick it's getting on its own. Also, I do not rinse my pasta, so that little bit of starch on there is what helps thicken the sauce. So pretty much ready to just turn off the heat and serve. As you can see, the sauce actually gets a little bit pink from that tomato, and it has a wonderful flavor. So hope you like the recipe, and thanks for watching my video. Bye.